Bhagavatam were meant to convey a deeper message of God to its Paramahansas, or call them those gopis. The message was expected to be received by them via Tartamvani when born much later in Kali Yuga. Completely oblivious of God's grace they had received in ancient past, when their spiritual status was raised to Brahma Srishti category. They would then think and also behave like the countless other ignorant human beings. Although Tartamvani is amenable to perusal by entire mankind, it is really meant for the consumption of the Brahma Srishtis. Like the text of Bhagavatam was, Bhagavatam also was meant essentially for Paramahansas. But it is nowhere mentioned that the Paramahansas are going to be born and they were the same gopis.
But it's already mentioned in the Harivansh Purana.
It is later on they will be born as Brahma Munis. Very, very vague statement of Harivansh Purana. But it doesn't talk necessarily in terms of those gopis. It talks in terms of highly spiritual Paramahansas, like that.
The relationship between gopis and Krishna.
That relationship is mentioned, but it appears as obscene acts. Obscene. Ashleel jaisa lagta hai. Anyway, although the Tartamvani is amenable to perishable by entire mankind, it is really meant for consumption of Brahma Srishtis, like the text of Bhagavatam was. That is the background in which Sadguru's audience with Purushottama needs to be looked at. Even then, it happened with a direct intervention of Purushottama. He was not awakened on his own. It was with direct Purushottama's intervention that it happened that he had an audience with Purushottama.
Okay. Purushottam gives the special blessings.
Special blessing.
Bhagavad even doesn't help him.
Yeah.
He get awakened with the 14 years of journey to.
Yes, it was 14 years long association with Bhagavatam and with his efforts to understand the mysteries of Bhagavatam. After that, Purushottama graced him with his audience.
Perfect.
Similar intervention, although to a lesser extent in case of Mahamati Prananath, it took place. It would be even lesser in case of remaining Brahma Srishtis, since God has already disclosed many truths via Tartamvani. So now, the Brahma Srishtis and Paratmas have to awaken on their own. Of course, God's grace is there, lying behind all such acts. Dispensation for the Brahma Srishtis in the present is that they should fully grasp its intents, Tartamvani's intents, in order to awaken the respective Paratmas. God's grace is called for even in the present, although less. It is less conspicuous. Tartamvani itself needs to be reckoned as his graceful intervention in our world, in our times. It as if exhorts the mankind as follows: let everyone make best efforts to have audience with God, the Purushottama, as time is now ripe for it to achieve that goal. Time is ripe. But it simultaneously says that only the 12,000 men and women of Brahma Srishti caliber are capable of performing this. They were even enabled by God during those two Leelas in ancient past to do so during the period of Jagani, extending up to 2878 AD. We are living right spang in the middle of that period. It is therefore Mr. Ramanbhai Patel and Mr. Manubhai that it is essential that now, even after a gap of 300 years, the message of Tartam should reach the entire world. I know you are in that effort. But no one surely knows if he or she is thus enabled by God. That is, it doesn't know who is Brahma, that whether one is Brahma Srishti or not. But that is God's scheme. He is giving an open invitation to everybody to participate in the race. Only 12,000 will win. Every aspirant needs to participate in the race from the same start line, knowing well that only 12,000 would reach the far end. So everybody has to try the best that lies within him or her. Tartamvani as if issues a wake-up call for the benefit mainly of Brahmasashtis, even assuring them that they would certainly succeed in fulfilling their long cherished spiritual aspirations. It says that can be done easily, getting rid of only residual half of the original delusion that still hovers over their Paratmas, adding that it can easily be done by grasping the spiritual truths relating to their own spiritual attainments of the past as are revealed in Tartam Vani. It is very clearly said. The last few verses I just read out and explained to you all say all that in the briefest of brief manner, although the very message has also been conveyed at good length in several other contexts in the same Tartam Vani.
What are your comments on Tartam Vani's threefold categorizations of entire mankind? The Jiva Srishti, Ishwari Srishti, and most superior Brahma Srishti. One Vyavastha of Hindus is based on the fourfold categorization, that is the Shudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, and the Brahman. Can you explain about this one? What the Tartam Vani says in this content?
Yes, Tartam Vani's categorization is entirely different from the ancient fourfold one of the Hindus. It was based on certain codes of conduct that people of different varnas were asked to follow. By way of efforts, they needed to gradually evolve in a spiritually stratified society. Everyone is not at the same level of spiritual evolution. Obviously, there exist at any time in world several groups of persons who might have attained different extents of spiritual evolution. Therefore, the ancient system devised different codes of conduct for four varnas of the society, depending upon the propensities, the inherent tendencies in the present and also in the past attainments. Now, the term varna has several connotations, several meanings. One of them being the color shade or hue, not of the skin, but of the causal body of a person, Karana Sharira of the Hindus. Such color shade is said to be representative of the spiritual evolution that was attained by anyone during past lives by making efforts to evolve spiritually, like resorting first to any of the four broad-based codes of conduct, following the yogic practices, ascetic practices, etc. It seems there existed some sages. In English, the word sage is translated as seer. I would like to say seers, S-E-E--R-S, seers, they could see. It seems there existed some sages, the seers, in ancient times, who could actually see the auric colors and suggest an appropriate code of conduct for someone. That is, depending upon the spiritual evolution already attained, one could undertake certain efforts and then he is much more likely to succeed. Someone less evolved may not be able to follow the codes of conduct.
So that's how you define this Varna Vyavastha, you said?
Yes, Varna Vyavastha. I am coming to that. I contend that ancient system has over very, very long period of time of human existence deteriorated into one based on heredity, today known and practiced as the caste system by Hindus. That is, if I am a Brahmin, my son will be a Brahmin, my grandson will also be Brahmin, irrespective of what vocation he follows. In case, even if he does the bad karmas, he will still be called a Brahmin. That is not what earlier it was intended to be. I have discussed this topic at some length in section 3.7 of my thesis, The 17th Century Revelations, citing an ancient dialogue between revered sages Bhrigu and Bharadvaj. These are the two great sages. It needs to be grasped that the ancient system was based upon efforts to be followed, efforts to be made in order to spiritually evolve in a graded manner. But Tartam Vani's classification is based upon the ultimate spiritual destinations in higher realms of God that its three srishtis, we have seen through the sketch, have the three srishtis have different capabilities, that its three srishtis have capabilities to rise up to when by the time the period of Jagni ends in our world. By the time it ends, Jiva Srishtis have one spiritual destination, Ishvara Srishtis have another one, Brahma Srishtis have the highest one. That is the difference between Varna Vyavastha and Tartam Vani's classification. As for countless others of Jiva Srishti category, their spirits are just not capable of reaching beyond the Ksharaloka. But, and here comes the catch, but owing to the unprecedented intervention of God, it is really unprecedented. Tartam Vani says it had never taken place in the past, nor shall it take place in future. Na bhuto, na bhavishyati. But owing to the unprecedented intervention of God in affairs of our perishable creation and His divine plan, as is disclosed in Tartam Vani, spirits of even the perishable countless Jiva Srishtis shall be made to rise beyond up to certain specified imperishable Akshara levels. Tartam Vani makes a startling revelation. This is an astounding happening that shall take place as a direct consequence of first deluding the 12,000 Aksharatit Paratmas so that they may experience our Kshara creation and in steps their awakening. But they also have been enabled, as seen earlier, to shed their delusions one by one. After the period of Jagni ends, all the Paratmas would collectively reawaken. Earlier it has been individual, one-to-one awakening. Now they will, after all the 12,000 have awakened, it will be their collective awakening. Anyway, after the period of Jagni ends, all the Paratmas would collectively reawaken to their earlier eternal existence in blissful Aksharatit Loka. Tartam Vani categorically states, such happenings had not occurred in any of the countless Kshar creations. It had never happened. Such divine happenings would so profoundly affect our perishable world that even the Jiva Srishtis would strike roots in imperishable Akshara Loka. Albeit at its lower strata, even in Akshara Loka there are different stratas, there are different levels. They will strike roots at the lowest level, but they shall. Albeit at its lower strata, that I would term as its Upaloka. These stratas of Akshara level, I have termed for sake of better explaining them as Upalokas at Akshara level, at Akshara Loka. It shall happen after the period of Jagni ends. In a sense, all three Srishtis of Tartam Vani would be benefited, but it would occur due to what happens mainly with the highly evolved Brahma Srishtis. The exposure of Jiva Srishtis to spiritual truths revealed by them and the cleansing effect of the most divine aura spread in the world through them during the period of Jagni is planned to accomplish that unprecedented event. It would certainly enable the Jiva Srishtis to cross over from perishable realm to the imperishable one. Tartam Vani makes this point very clear. Most divine aura of Aksharatit Loka would manifest in heart of every Brahma Srishti when he or she has the experience of having an audience with Purushottama present there. Just like Mahamati Pranath had, just like his Sadguru had in earlier. TV calls it as Noor, an Urdu term.
Again, not TV, Tartam Vani.
Huh?
Say Tartam Vani.
Oh, yeah, sorry, TV. I will say, Tartam Vani will explain Pashwakarish. Tartam Vani calls it Noor. It is an Urdu term. I find similar statements are made not only in Hindu scriptures, but also in Mark 3 of Bible, speaking of what would happen in end of the age. In its 13th verse, Jesus Christ can be seen telling his disciples the following: the God's people will shine like the sun in their Father's kingdom. Listen then, if you have the ears. I feel kingdom of God. The Father is Aksharatit Loka. And God's people or the children of God are the Brahma Srishtis of Tartam Vani. Same as the Paramahansas of Bhagavatam. Look at the fun. Though they are pointing to the same person or same category, they use different terms. One in English, one in Hebrew, one in Urdu, Sanskrit. As per the Tartam Vani, similar statements are present in Quran too. It clarifies several mysterious statements of Quran, in particular those concerning the period of Jagni and the end times. It says explicitly that Quran was a message that God had arranged to deliver through the Prophet Muhammad, God's messenger. Tartam Vani further says that Quran was a message meant mainly for moments, who it says, oh yeah. Sorry, अबे
That's fine.
the क्याथी बोलूँ मैं शुरू? I will read the paragraph beginning से शुरू करूँ छो.
Prophet Muhammad.
Second paragraph on page 23 हाँ?
God Muhammad. ना तमे God Muhammad.
ना અહીંથી બોલો.
Prophet Muhammad ही बोलो. Prophet Muhammad.
Fourth line.
Fourth line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Prophet Muhammad.
Prophet Muhammad, God's messenger.
Yeah.
Now, Tartam Vani further says that Quran was a message meant mainly for the moments, who it says are none other than its Brahma Srishtis. Tartam Vani makes it very clear. It equates moments and Brahma Srishtis. That is indirectly Paramahansas also. Quran was a message meant mainly for moments, who it says are none other than the Brahma Srishtis, 12,000 in number. Tartam Vani gives this number very, very clearly, not the Quran. In fact, Tartam Vani refers to them much more often as moments rather than Brahma Srishtis. I am not in a position to say more on this issue, as I have not had good fortune to study Quran. But it would not be out of place here to mention my contention, as was expressed in sections 2.4.7 to 2.4.9 and in 2.5 of my English book, The 17th Century Revelations. I have cited several testimonies of Hindu scriptures and a limited few from Bible that I gathered based on my limited understanding. I have contended with the passage of time, say as the period of Jagni kept drawing nearer and nearer, God had started revealing with more and more precision, more and more clarity, His divine plan for rewarding His devotees. After giving out vaguely some truths via Hindu scriptures like Yoga Vasishta, Gita, Bhagavatam, and even Old Testaments, God seems to have begun revealing it little clearly. He did it in respect of His highest realm of reality and the period, as well as the metaphysics relating to how Jagni would be accomplished. Perhaps it seems His intention is that the earlier scriptures should serve as testimonies, later day testimonies, to what He later revealed via the words of Jesus Christ. The message disclosed first by Prophet Muhammad and later via Mahamati Prananath. In my humble opinion, His revelations can be manifested in our perishable real realm only via the spiritually linked Brahma Srishtis. None other can give out His messengers. Tartam Vani confidently asserts that it shall stand corroborated by ancient scriptures, since it is the same God who really manifests such revelations. But one needs to be vigilant while collating scriptures, as they contain spiritual truths given out by several people in different languages as also historical backdrops. All of them might not have given out clearly at whose instance they revealed, and also which particular level of reality they disclosed. One has to search for articulations of different scriptures relating to seemingly same level of reality in order to decide if they complement and supplement one another or not. I suggest the scholars correlating different religious scriptures, say resorting to comparative religion as it is called now, need to bear in mind that the reality of God is not of homogeneous consistency, but it is stratified. In backdrop of my limited reading of Bible, it seems the 12,000 Brahmasrishtis have perhaps been variously mentioned in it as the children of God, God's people, 12 tribes of Israel, etc. Same seems to be the case with Tartam Vani's end of the period of Jagni. That would herald a glorious new age, the Satya Yuga of Hindu scriptures. In Mark 13 of Bible, this period seems to have been termed as end of the age, when God's people will shine like the sun in their Father's kingdom. We need to note that Bible talks of people of God, that is in plural, about those who will shine like the sun shines upon our world, not one person. Tartam Vani also says there are 12,000 like them. That statement of Bible seems pointing out the spread of an intensely divine but subtle influence of Aksharatita level reality in our world via Brahma Srishtis. The shine, the brilliance spread by those people of God who are said to shine in the end period by Bible. It would descend down from the highest level over the spiritual linkages that will serve like copper wires over which the current flows to illuminate an electrical lamp. Bible seems to term such phenomenon as God's people shining like the sun. Their radiations would destroy the divine darkness. Change kar mujhe. Their radiations would destroy the darkness of ignorance settled over the hearts of mankind since ages. Tartam Vani says it would bring about an end of present Kali Yuga much before its scheduled tenure of 432,000 years. Amazing. Mark 13 of Bible in its 2 verses 19 and 20 also discloses God has a plan to cut short duration of horrible end times for sake of those who are dear to him, that is the God's people. Today, mankind is living precisely through such times, fully armed with weapons of mass destruction. I know some devoted Christians too feel the same way. They say mankind is presently living in the end times of Bible. They contend that. But Tartam Vani says it explicitly, starting from 17th up to the 29th. This is the end time.
Mr. Vyas, seems to be your views match with prophecy of Bhagavatam. Does Bhagavatam talks about single individual as a Kalki manifestation?
Yes, indeed. Bhagavatam's narrations make it look as if the manifestation of Kalki towards the end of Kali Yuga is almost a routine affair, just meant to herald the next Satya Yuga. That is what Bhagavatam makes it look like. Other scriptures also. Let us see what it says about such changeovers. The changeover from Kali Yuga to Satya Yuga happens 36 million times during the lifetime of Akshar creation. 36 million times. After that, it gets annihilated. Total destruction of Akshar world, Brahmanda. Our creation has already crossed halfway mark of its lifetime. So, we can say over 18 million such changeovers, that is from Kali Yuga to Satya Yuga, they have occurred already. This data of Bhagavatam makes it look as if changeover to be brought about by future appearance of Kalki in our world is almost a routine affair to occur towards the end of every Kali Yuga's tenure of 4,32,000 years. It means Kalki would appear only after hundreds of thousand years, since only a little over 51 centuries have elapsed since Shri Krishna departed from our midst to return back to his eternal abode. Kali Yuga commenced then. In other words, about 4,27,000, that is 4,32,000